Hi, this is Dee Meyer, and I'm here with Dr. William Spady. We're at the Humanities Team Healing and Oneness event in Arvada, Colorado at the Journeys for Conscious Living. Welcome.
Thank you. It's been a remarkable morning so far.
It has been.
Yes.
It has been. I'd like to invite you to tell our Humanities Team teammates about what you do and tell us about your books a little bit. So I just would like to welcome you to share.
Well, thank you. This week has been quite a paradox. Because I knew this event was coming up, I wanted very much to be here. And as I said to the people who were here this morning doing their healing work, I think I'm the only person in the room today who was actually at the official launch of Humanities Team in June of 2003.
Yeah.
And at that time, I had been working for 2 years with Neale Donald Walsch, and was the person who was formulating and bringing to the world the model of education that we distilled out of Neale's books and kind of integrated with my work. And we had 2 or 3 sites in the United States that were trying to get a start, and a site in South Africa that actually took form and operated for 2 years. And at that very same time, June of 2003, there was a whole group of people in Australia that was very interested, and I was doing consulting work over there. And so enthusiasm was just building everywhere for this idea. The bad news, if there was any, is that we may well have been ahead of our time. While there were a lot of people, we could have put out a worldwide call and said, okay, all the people who want to do Heartlight education, please sign up. And all these people from everywhere, but what you need to have a school, at least a tangible one, is a critical mass of people in a given geographical area. And that's the thing we weren't able to pull off, except in the one location in South Africa. So the paradox of all of this is that it was almost exactly 10 years ago to the day that Neale and a team of 3 of us were working together to formulate what became our vision statement for Heartlight. And I just had this compelling feeling this week that it was time to get that particular document out and some of the other related documents that we had developed in at our South African site over the course of the 2 years that it operated, because the world of education would be invaluably served if we could get both the philosophy and a lot of those practical tools back out to the world. So I started rewriting, revising a bit, and putting into a bigger context the original vision document that we created. And in going through my computer files, I discovered all kinds of other things that we had written or I had developed that I'd already forgotten about, because they hadn't been used, and it's absolutely time to bring that to the world again. I and many of my colleagues around the United States and abroad are just dismayed at the incredibly narrow and mechanistic way that educational policy is pushing the public education systems of the world. More and more mechanistic, a narrower and narrower and rigid view of what is learning. It's having dreadful consequences for all kinds of wonderful people in the profession of education. And in one of the books that I wrote, just prior to actually working with Neale in 2001, I called it Beyond Counterfeit Reforms, and I felt that what was really being propagated by the politicians of the world in the name of educational change were absolutely counterfeit. They were not about the human being. They were not about our deeper essence. They were not about the future the kids face. It was all about school as we've always done it, and are obviously determined to continue to do it. So for me, the Heartlight work with Neil was, well, I describe it in the opening sentence of this new paper I've written. It was the greatest opportunity, I think, that ever opened up for me in my career. I still absolutely feel that way, because it took both reading his work and continuing to do inner work, opened up for me avenues and understandings and experiences about our human potential and our deepest essence that were absolutely never part of the conventional consulting and change work that I was doing, even though we called it transformational. And in the context of the old traditional model of education, it was transformational. But
well, that's empty.
It became simply a stepping stone to what we really formulated and what we really understood needed to happen in terms of the Heartlight model. So I'm coming back and revisiting a decade of work.
I find it fascinating that you're sitting next to me, because I'm on one of the task teams for InnerWorks, and we're looking to expand. You know, we've made some serious commitments. This past year, when we went to Greece for our global council meeting, we said that we are going to define programs. We're going to do a lot of work in bringing in material, and our sitting here talking about this is not a coincidence that we have work to do together.
There are no accidents.
No,
That's
there
right.
aren't.
Yeah.
So
well, there's a wealth of material, and in fact, yesterday, before coming down here to the Denver area, I live up in the mountains in Colorado.
I do too.
And I called the colleague that I worked with most closely in the Heartlight work, and she had developed 4 big volumes of teaching materials that people could use around what was kind of the central element in the framework that we developed, which actually had come out of my work. So there was when this all came together, it clicked for me one morning, the first time that our team of 3 people went to Neil's house to discuss how do we move this forward. And while we were having breakfast in a little local cafe in Ashland, Oregon, wham, this insight came to me about how I could completely integrate the fundamental elements in his work with mine. And I said to the group, okay, you're going to think I'm crazy. So we had a napkin sitting there, and I was drawing this picture on this napkin in the little coffee shop. And I had laid out 5 levels of this thing that I thought would be the framework. And I said, the other 2 levels, because I wanted to add level 6 and 7, I said, they're out in my bag in the trunk of the car, okay? So I won't know if this is going to work until we go out there. So we basically had a pyramid. So there was 1 of these, 2 of those, 3 of those, 4 of those, 5 of those. And I said, if there are 6 and 7 of these next 2 things, this is unbelievable. And it turned out there were 6 and 7 when I actually looked at my this framework that I had in the car. So we basically took, mine was 5, 6, and 7, and Neil's work was the 1, 2, 3, 4, and they just went like that.
Integrated.
We got to his house, showed him the pyramid, and it was like, here we go, we're moving.
Well, thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah, thank you.
And I will be sharing this story with everybody, if it's all right with you.
Yeah, I'm absolutely willing and eager to share that with anyone.
Thank you for your time. I really enjoyed meeting you.
Well, thanks so much. This is really an honor and another wonderful opportunity.
Thank you.